Let's get this party started. Okay, I'm out of breath. All right, it's the XP Billionaires podcast. Welcome, welcome, and hopefully you haven't turned it off already after that. This is Ray Fegram here for you, and we've got Sky Knight and Irene Rogue, as we usually do, for our wonderful antics. We'll start with the round table. Sky, how are you doing today?
Oh, I'm fine. A little too warm. It's very hot here.
Yes, it definitely is. And I can hear the air conditioner in the background, and I really don't care. You are more than welcome to it.
Thank you. You
You're
have no choice in the matter.
totally fair. All right, moving on. Irene, how are you today?
Pretty good, pretty good. It's
Awesome.
not too bad here actually. There was some massive thunderstorms, so we're in slightly better shape.
All right, well, why don't we have our quick periodic gaming check-in? Let's see what everybody has been up to game-wise. We'll start with me, I guess. I've been still plowing away at Trails of Cold Steel. I actually just cleared Act 2. I'm going into what they consider the finale.
2.
Yes, Trails of Cold Steel 2. That's correct, I should say. Yeah, so we're getting into the near end of the game. It's been just as good as the first one, and I'm going to be really sad to have it over until the end of September when Trails 3 comes out. Oh man, I have way too much to play right now. But other than that, I'm been sitting back with Dauntless as usual. I've dusted off the old PSP and have been playing Trails in the Sky, trying to keep myself in the universe, which has been really good. I bought Judgment and I have yet to open it. That's going to be my treat for when Trails 2 is done. So I'm kind of excited for that. Sky, what have you been playing?
Well, I'm kind of in between games at RPGs anyway at the moment. Not sure where I was at the last check-in, but I finished Atelier Lalua quite a while ago now, actually, and mostly it's been Dauntless and The Sims. So I'm... Oh, and and Rafe is helping me try to finish off Shenmue. Because I find it very hard. I'm good at the adventure game-like aspects of it. I am terrible at the Virtua Fighter-esque combat and the QTEs.
That and you apparently weren't
And the
all that great
forklift.
with. Yeah, exactly. Uh, yeah, the forklift hasn't turned out to be too bad for me, so that's a good sign. At least it's been getting us through that part of the game, and I think, and from everything that it looks like, I'm sure you'll be fine once we get you to Shenmue 2. So.
Yeah, I think so. It's just, I'm invested. I want to see it to the end. And I'm curious about what they're going to do with Shenmue 3, the modern Shenmue, so hopefully aspects of it will be more palatable to a modern audience. So
I'm sure they've got that in mind, and there's no way to be sure, obviously, till it comes out. But yeah, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
yeah. So
I really hope it's good for all the people that are really invested.
yeah. I'm certainly. I mean, I didn't back it because I hadn't gotten into the series yet, but I'm really hoping it goes somewhere interesting. It's very charming and experimental, so I do want to see it through. So.
All right, Irene, what have you been up to?
So, well, as we are recording this, it is Final Fantasy XIV Stormbringer's early access weekend. So what do you think I've been up to?
Fair enough.
So, just plowing my way through Final Fantasy XIV with a friend of mine. I actually, like with the rest of the world, decided to go and respec as a Vieira because they're very pretty. I'm very, very upset, though, and Square Enix, if you're listening, fix the hats, because you can't wear a top hat with the Vieira, and that is so egregiously wrong, because then you cannot be the Mad Hatter. And that's not cool. Final Fantasy XIV has lovely top hats that I absolutely adore, and they would look really good with the bunny ears coming out either side. I'm just saying. Also, I've been playing a little bit more of the Sinking City, because the actual setting has me really engrossed. and I'm eager to see where the story goes. And as well, Bloodstained Ritual of the Night on the Switch came out last week, and I got my backer kit, so I've been playing through that. Now, while the Switch port is not great, I'm going to admit, they are working extremely diligently to fix it because it was a bit of a last-minute thing, but like it's still good enough that like I'm still playing it, I'm still enjoying it, and in fact, I will be discussing some of it today.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Excellent.
All right, well, that gets us caught up. So let's get on to our main topic for today, and we've got a top 3 for you guys today. So video games have a tendency to surprise us in a variety of ways, whether it be a plot twist, character death, reunion of old characters, or even just walking into a beautiful, beautiful environment. But one of the more interesting surprises comes in the forms of the little things, like the Easter eggs that they put into games. Just those little bits that developers include that if you're looking hard enough, it can be a real rewarding treat for you. They're not necessarily plot oriented, but they can be, but they're fun no matter what. So I thought this week we'd dive in and list off our top 3 surprise bits or Easter eggs in RPG gaming. So let's jump right into that. Why don't we? So we're going to start off with myself. Apparently, it's all about me today. I feel special. And my number 3 comes from Horizon Zero Dawn. Now, this is one that you can so easily miss given how big the world is in this game. I can't even believe I came across it myself. I wasn't looking for it. I just happened to come across it and did a little research on it. So along Aloy's travels, you could end up at the bottom of a mountain range or a cliffside. I can't remember exactly where it was. And you can find 2 bunny rabbits. Now, you can't hunt them, you can't skin them, you can't do anything with them, but they have names. They're basically considered NPCs. You can't interact with them, but they're just there. And the names on them are Jazz and Jack. It's really just a strange bit for them to have there. And I did a little homework because the name sounded a little familiar to me from my childhood. And what I found out is that the developers of Horizon Zero Dawn were also responsible for an old series of PC games that I played in my childhood called Jazz Jackrabbit. These were games that were very similar to Sonic the Hedgehog in that, Jazz would move very, very fast, but he was basically like a green commando bunny that I'm pretty sure was carrying a machine gun. I'm not sure if I actually used it at all or anything. It's been so long since I've played the games, but I can just remember this Rambo-esque Jackrabbit in my head running around really fast and doing like Sonic style stages. So I thought it was actually just really cute. It was a simple, very straightforward little treat for anybody who were fans of the games in the past. And again, like if you didn't see it, it did absolutely nothing to the game, but it was just really cute for the people who encountered it.
Yeah,
That is cute.
Yeah, it was just really a lot of fun to see, and yeah, there's really not much more to say about it other than, good on the developers for obviously caring about a project they did 20, 30 years ago. So I give them respect for that. So next up, we have Irene. What is your number 3 for your surprises?
My number 3. So, today I picked a very soulsy side quest from Borderlands 2. So, in the most epic of all DLCs to ever exist ever, and I will die on that hill, Tiny Tina's Assault on Dragon's Keep, there's a side quest called Lost Souls. So, you're wondering, the central conceit of this DLC is that Tiny Tina and the rest of the jerkwads from Sanctuary are waiting for something to happen, and they've decided to settle down for a game of bunkers and badasses, which is basically Borderlands Dungeons and Dragons. So you are basically like the avatar of the characters as the story unfolds. It's amazing. But as you go into a small, there's a wooded area, and you come across a little bonfire with a skeleton sitting there. And he begs you to light bonfires in the area and collect souls for him from spawning monsters. And if you do, the skeleton respawns as a person who is like really happy that you helped him out because he died like 80 times apparently in this one part trying to get through it. And then suddenly a message will pop up saying that you've been invaded by the noob killer. And he's like, oh shit, it's that guy who stabbed me in the back while I was like drinking from my flask. Get him. And you kill the noob killer and he gives you a reward. So all this, of course, is like, having played any Dark Souls whatsoever, they basically distilled the entire Dark Souls experience into one side quest line that was really easy to just play through, except perhaps maybe all like the dying and respawning and dying and respawning. It really depends on what level you are and how many people you've got with you, because like, oh my goodness, you can really get killed a lot in that area. It's not a joke. But like, yeah, they distilled it all into one little easy to digest side quest. And I did a bit of research as to why this might have been, because like it seems so out of place in basically what is a looter shooter. But apparently, the year Borderlands came out, it was one of 2 best-selling titles that year, and the other title was Demon Souls.
Ah.
So they had a little nod to the series as part of Tiny Tina's Assault on Dragon's Keep. In fact, that's not the only Dark Souls Easter egg you can find in Borderlands 2, but it's the only quest that you can find, and the quest was really funny.
No, I like that. Yeah.
Kind of a nod to Arrival, almost.
Yeah, and also, like, the guys at Borderlands know their fans, right? They know the people who play their games. They know some of their jokes can date a little bit in that it's, like, very current with the zeitgeist at the time that it was created. But for the people who, lived through that era, it's a bit nostalgic. It doesn't necessarily get old. But they don't necessarily use that as a crutch in their storytelling or their jokes or anything like that. So it's, little things. The story overall is separate from it, but you've got little tiny nods to what's popular amongst gamers. Dark Souls! Let's do a Dark Souls quest.
All right. Now that actually sounds like a lot of fun. It's something I'll have to look into with Borderlands 2 down the road once I finally get there. All right. Well, Sky, that leaves your number 3 for the surprises. Let's hear what you got.
Okay. So this is something that made me laugh out loud when I found it. So, Suikoden 2, more than any other game in that series, has a lot of different things that you can have Rio look at or search in the environment. Sometimes there's hidden items, sometimes there's just a basic description, sometimes that description is funny. And it was very uncharacteristic for this set of games that I found a pop-up in the Winger District. You go up to one of the bookshelves, and the pop-up that comes up reads pornographic book.
Is that a mistranslate, or is that like, I don't know.
I don't know, and I don't think I've ever heard it referred to online other than by me. Like, I'm sure I'm not the first person to see it or anything, but there used to be a site all about Suikoden mistranslations, and I basically had most of it memorized when that wasn't on it, so.
Okay.
Well, who knows? Maybe you are the first person to have ever found it. Like the people are still finding stuff in old games all the time. Like, it's absolutely possible you could be a trendsetter here.
Who knows? But
you heard it here, folks. You're going to have to predate Sky's. Oh, when did you first find this thing? Like 10 years ago?
No, not that long ago. I think, I don't know when I discovered it. Come to think of it, it could.
What?
I don't think it was that long ago, though.
Okay, well then I'm just gonna call it. You are the official discoverer of this Easter egg, and anybody else is welcome to challenge you for the title in a fight to the death.
What a thing to discover. So yeah, I mean, if you're ever playing Suikoden 2, look around, hit confirm again, beside objects and see what it says. Sometimes it's quite funny. Sometimes there's, in a few places, there are actually like rare or unique items you can find. Pretty sure there's one in South Window, actually. But yeah, this one just made me laugh.
All right, well, we're going to move on to our number 2 choices now, and once again, we'll start with myself. Okay, so yeah, for me, the next one comes from the very first Final Fantasy game. And it's actually a double whammy because they translated it two different ways in later versions of it. So here's this is where it's going to be fun. So when you visit any other town in the game, there are several areas that have graveyards. And you're able to walk up and interact with every single one of the tombstones. Now, most often than not, are just going to say the same thing. This is a tombstone. This is a tombstone. This is a tombstone. However, there is one tombstone in the game where you actually get something different. The first time you get it from the original NES version, it says, "Here lies Erdrick," or something to that similarity. Erdrick was definitely the name referenced at the time. And for those of you who are not aware, Erdrick is a very, very prominent title and name that came from the original Dragon Quest series or from Dragon Warrior on the original NES, which was actually the first RPG published on the Nintendo Entertainment System. It actually predated the first Final Fantasy. So this was actually just kind of fun to see. It was a little silly. I had played Dragon Warrior before I got into Final Fantasy, so it was a really, really fun little nod that I encountered during that time. But more fun is after Sony got their hands on the game and started, remastering it, doing up better sprites, that kind of thing, putting it on the PS1 and then eventually the PSP, the same tombstone actually says something different. This time it says, "Here lies Link." Yeah, so this time, now you can see that Sony's digging at Nintendo. It's like, haha, we got your IP now. What are you going to do about it? And I think it's clearly just a fun little franchise rivalry. And I think these are actually really cute when stuff like that happens. So that takes my number 2 spot just for the sheer ridiculousness of it.
It's a healthy rivalry. Like, it's not necessarily like dragging each other through the mud. It's just like, oh, we're just gonna shit on you just a touch, and you're welcome to take digs at us as well.
All right, well that's my number 2. Irene, let's keep this train going. What's your number 2?
So I'm actually gonna pick something from Bloodstained today. There was a lovely little Easter egg in Bloodstained that I feel might have just been just for me. So I've been playing a lot of Bloodstained lately, and happened to find a particular friendly demon who enables you to change Miriam's hair, her clothes, skin, eyes, whatever. Basically full customization of colors and like haircuts, hairstyles, skin tones, you name it. It's actually really cool. But this particular demon is a barber demon. Yeah, this is the kind of enemy in this game. And when I say this game has weird enemies, I'm not kidding. One of them is a chain chomp Yorkshire Terrier head. And it's like the whole screen. It's huge. And it runs at you on the end of a leash and chain chomps at you like a fucking Nintendo, like...
Chain chomp?
Chain chomp, yeah! And then there was another one that's like a cat that's hanging out inside a portal, but it's also got bunny horns. Like, this game is weird. It's really, really weird. So the barber is a kind of enemy class. And this one, when he introduces himself, his name is Todd. And I'll pause for a moment in case any of the listeners get that reference.
Yep.
Yeah, okay, there we go. And for those of you who didn't, it is Sweeney Todd, the demon barber of Fleet Street. The musical. I really, really like that little reference in there. So clearly Igarashi has a sense of humor, or somebody on his team really loves musicals. I just thought it was like the perfect name for a demon barber in a video game. It's so good. Oh, also, Shovel Knight makes a guest appearance as an enemy type just for fun. This game is weird. It's great though.
Yeah, I can imagine. It's something I will want to pick up at some point in the future. But let me like drop the amount of games from my plate for a while, and then we'll consider something new. That's all I can do at this point. That's all you can expect of me. Between finishing Yakuza, the Trails games taking over my life, and Dauntless eating at my very, very existence. Yeah, I'll get there someday.
Someday? Yeah, Bloodstained Ritual of the Night is really great. I will let you know when the patch comes out for the Switch, because honestly, this game is excellent portable, just in general. And I would really like to see it like, up to the glory that it has on other consoles. And as a backer, of course, I get a whole bunch of like backer emails and stuff like that. And there was one that came right after the Switch launch day, which was like, yeah, we're not happy with this. We are going to fix it. Stay tuned.
And you know what? Good for them for doing it. So
Yeah.
they're not Mighty Number Nining it, and I appreciate that.
Why did you make Mighty Number 9 into a verb? I can't unhear that now.
I'm sorry.
It describes, crying like an anime fan on prom night.
More or less. All right, now before this spirals in a whole nother direction.
I'm not sorry.
Yeah.
No, you're not.
No. All right, let's move on to Sky's number 2 so that we can just veer away from what we were just doing.
Too late.
Beer. All right. So mine is, I think it's the very first special that Volcanus in Disgaea 4 gets.
It is.
It is? Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. So, Rafe is a massive tokusatsu fan and got me addicted to the yearly Kamen Rider shows. So, here I was playing Disgaea 4 and was astonished to see Volcanus' special called Mandatory Repo. It's an obvious homage to the special move of Kamen Rider O's Tatoba form. Like, it's his finisher move. Like, exactly. Leap in the air, wings form, and do the kick through the 3 colored rings. It's all there. Totally wasn't expecting it. I mean, totally different medium. Somebody must have been a massive fan. And I think O's probably was relatively current at that time.
It was either in progress or had just wrapped at that point. I can't remember the release date. But Sky's absolutely right. Like the attack itself is a direct copy of this finisher, right down to the final bit after the kick happens and the explosion. A whole bunch of coins fly out of.
I forgot about that bit. Yeah.
Yeah, that absolutely does happen. Now, you say that this is the first inference of something like that, but it really wasn't. Y'all are forgetting the Prism Rangers to start off.
No, like I didn't say it was the first thing. I said it was an homage.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, it's Kamen Rider, so speaking specifically to Kamen Rider, but yeah, no, they had the Prism Rangers, the whole Super Sentai knockoff thing that they had going too.
As a matter of fact, another bit was in Disgaea D2, like right at the beginning of the game. Flan receives a package and Laharl makes some sort of joke that it's not another henshin belt or something like that, because apparently Flan's really addicted to them too. So
there's some obvious fans, but I really liked this one because it was so completely unexpected and so freaking obvious what it was.
So you're not even trying to hide this, are you?
No, not at all. Like it's when I was going back to check up on the details, because I played Disgaea 4 years ago now, and every site I read about Disgaea 4 practically had this mentioned somewhere. Volcanus' special is the Kamen Rider O's kick. Yeah.
Oops.
Trust me, everybody who knows saw it.
Oh yeah. As a matter of fact, I remember looking back and I didn't remember the context, but I remember it being in one of the trailers for the game. And that's where I saw it the first time, but I didn't know who the character was. I didn't know what was going on. And I'm like, oh my God, I've seen this before. And I remember we were at our friend's place and I was showing the trailer for it right after we were watching some O's, if I recall.
Yes. I forgot about that. Yeah. So
Yeah,
that's probably where I first saw it there. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was a beautiful touch. I love that. But all right. So having not thought about that, I feel very, my face is definitely very red on that one. But awesome choice one way or the other. But it is time for the number ones. So let us begin with my number one surprise in an RPG. And that comes from Super Mario RPG, Legend of the Seven Stars, the first Mario RPG, and still by far probably the best of them all. This is probably one of the silliest of silly things. And if you were a kid who just got their Super Nintendo and played this game for the first time, this is just a hilarious surprise. It's not nearly as fun nowadays, but I appreciate it nonetheless. So this can be done in one of the townhouses in the game. I think it's in the Mushroom Kingdom. I don't remember exactly, but basically you can go behind a very suspicious looking curtain. When you interacted with it, you could actually walk behind it. So when Mario walks behind it, he comes out the other end as 8-bit Mario. It's completely silly, completely ridiculous. There's absolutely no rhyme or reason to it. And just for the next little bit, for like 30 seconds or so, you can run around, jump as 8-bit Mario. And I'm pretty sure like some of the old like Super Mario Brothers music starts playing. And then after that time's up, Mario will automatically run right back, go out the other way, and then become the 3D rendered version that he was in Mario RPG. So I don't know, getting that like treat to going back to something, especially when wasn't that long ago. If you were playing it for the first time as a kid, it was just really silly, really fun. I loved it so much. I don't know why I enjoyed it as much as I did, but I did.
And they did something similar in Super Mario Odyssey, but they ended up embedding that as like a core mechanic where like there were sections of the game that you'd play as 8-bit Mario.
Yeah, and this was not important in any way, shape, or form. This was just a little bit of silliness you could have with the game. So yeah, that's really my number one. Although I will give a shout out to being in one of the inns and finding Link sleeping in a bed. Yeah, so that's my number one, and you've now heard my top three. I guess it's time to move on. Irene, what was your number one choice?
So my number one choice was a very specific pet in Mass Effect 3. And I think Rafe and Sky know where I'm going with this because I'm sure they've heard me talk about this before. So as you all know, Mass Effect is a series by BioWare, who way long time ago, once upon a time before EA came along to fuck their shit up, they made Baldur's Gate and Baldur's Gate 2. So in those games, there was a character named Minsk, who had a pet hamster that he swore up and down was a miniature giant space hamster. Now, Minsk was a fighter, so, like, you're pretty sure he's, like...
Minsk is in Neverwinter. We played Neverwinter.
Oh, yes. Excellent.
Yeah, so, yeah, we
You know who we're talking about here.
Yeah, exactly. We know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah, like, so for those who don't know who Minsk is, like, he's a fighter character. He's probably got, like, maybe 5 brain cells total left. He's not very smart, but his heart's in the right place. And the reason he doesn't have that many brain cells is because he's gotten his, like, shit kicked in so many times, but he just keeps getting up. Like, anyway, he's got this hamster, a miniature giant space hamster, named Boo. And he loves this little thing so much that in Baldur's Gate 2, it permanently took up a slot on his item belt. You had 3 slots, and Minsk only ever had 2 because Boo is in one of them. And if you tried to remove it, you would get, like, a text box that would say, Minsk basically, like, glares at you, and he says he doesn't like you touching his hamster, so stop it if you don't want to catch his hands. Like, but every time you would click it, it would make a noise like, squeak. Like, literally, it would be someone saying squeak into a microphone, high-pitched. So what does all this have to do with Mass Effect 3? So fast forward to Mass Effect 3, where you can actually buy a space hamster pet. And it makes the exact same sound. They kept that sound file for years and put it in as an Easter egg, and I literally squealed in delight when I heard it. I was like, oh my god, I have Boo! It's the best hamster! 10 out of 10!
That's a good one.
Game of the year. Especially since I played the shit out of Baldur's Gate 2 when I was a teenager. Like, I would get up early like an hour early every day before school so I could play it in the morning.
Wow.
Or I'd have to get ready. Like, I loved that game. And Boo was just like, he was delightful. The fact that you had this. And actually, if you took a really close look at Minsk's portrait in Baldur's Gate 2, you could see it. Like, the hamster was in the portrait. He was holding him up.
Of course.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's definitely an awesome choice. Before we just move on, I'll just quickly point out you are aware that those are getting ported to the Switch, right?
Yay!
Yeah. Yeah,
Except those
kind of.
games are so hard. They were
Yeah,
hard when I was a child, and they're hard now.
yeah, yeah. But I'm actually excited to try them out again. To go back and do them all one more time and have them portably. So
Yeah, honestly, I'm looking forward to it as well because like Lila Core,
yeah,
the talking sword who loved bloodshed.
yep. All right, let's get to the final number one of the evening, day, morning, whatever you're listening. All right, Sky, what is your number one?
My number one is Barrel from the Atelier series. So this is a really long running gag in the series. It dates back to the very first game, Atelier Marie. Basically, you sidle up to a barrel, hit confirm to search it, and the character will say, usually in a silly fashion, Barrel. That's it. 20 years of Barrel. They usually say it in different silly voices. In some of them they will have I think Atelier Iris did this. You could if you hit confirm on it multiple times, like different characters in the party would say Barrel in funny voices. It was pretty funny.
It's part of the audition reel for any new voice actor they bring in.
Yeah. So, like, yeah, it's in at least almost every game, if not every game. You know, we haven't gotten all the games here, so I can't confirm it. But it's in the series an awful lot, and it's just a silly little consistency that the series has become known for. In fact, the original limited edition for Atelier Maruru, when it first came out, came with a barrel t-shirt. It's just a picture of a barrel with barrel exclamation mark.
They know their audience.
They know their audience. I have that shirt. So yeah, it's been 20 years of barrels, everyone. 20 years of barrels.
Here's to 20 more.
Yeah.
All right. That's those are some great top threes. I love those. Those every single one of those just gave me a smile. So yeah, let me know what kind of surprises you guys like or have seen in your video games that you guys really like. You can find me on Twitter at BillionairesXP, or you can send me pictures of them on Instagram at RaveThegram. And don't forget to check out my Twitch streams, also at Ray Figram. They're Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern. Irene, where can everyone find you?
So you can find me at irogue_XP on Twitter and Twitch, where I stream Thursday nights at 7 p.m.
And Sky, where can everyone find you?
I'm at SkyKnightXP on Twitter and Twitch, and I'm also on Instagram now, skyknight.xp, because I'm an idiot. And yeah, not a lot on Instagram yet, but I'm working on it. A lot of my Instagram is likely to be more of my Sims stuff, but there'll be other stuff there as well. So check both out. I'm not, at least for now, I'm not posting stuff, so there'll be unique content on each thing.
Yay!
All right, and don't forget to tell all your friends that aren't able to hear our wonderful podcast that we'll have a transcript of this episode up anytime, courtesy of our XP hobo, Hannah Bard, and you'll be able to find that on our WordPress site. That's xpbillionaires.wordpress.com. And finally, the always desperate plea. If you guys like what we're doing, please send us a donation through Coffee. We'd love to get as much support as possible. And if you can't do that, by all means, please just share our show and our website to anyone else you think might be interested. But you can also check it out at coffee.com/XP Billionaires. That's going to be it for us for this week. We will see you next week. And I said it before, I'll say it again, and I will never stop saying it. Keep gaming, everyone. We'll see you later.
Bye.
Bye-bye.